What's going on, guys? Time for another show. I'm your host, Adrian Babishoff, and this is Up and In It. If you're new here, welcome. If you're wondering what the show is about, gaining liberty and independence, exploring alternatives to the daily grind, moving from surviving to thriving, and living life raw. Today, we're going to talk about recession for the blue-collar worker, for you 9-to-5ers. That's what we're going to go in. And I've got lots of tips for you guys. I don't follow these people like religiously, but I consider them successful. I consider them very popular. Gary Vaynerchuk is one of them, saying that we're heading towards a recession. We just don't know when. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he's also saying that it's inevitable. And you have to realize, on this show, you're not going to learn the language of money, which I think that you should. You should go to some other place and you should start learning it. I'm starting to practice, but my philosophy for life is to calm the shitstorm down and get everything calmed down so that I can have the time to go figure out all the fucking jargon. I'll throw you one story I heard about Albert Einstein. Is the IRS came to him one day and says, "Hey, Albert, you owe us some fucking money." And Mr. Albert Einstein was busy doing his work, and he stopped and he looked over the paperwork and says, "Well, I'm a mathematician, not a philosopher. I'll pay my taxes when you can bring me something that makes sense." Awesome fucking story. But you guys, the wolves are steering. And if there's one thing that I do know that is for certain, is that the wolves get hungry and the rich get richer when the economy crashes. There's things you can buy, like property. Everything goes down low. Interest rates go down low, and everybody's just waiting. And in fact, these people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Robert Kiyosaki, it's a fucking game to them. Just like making money is a fucking game to them. They're just sitting there waiting, going, I can't wait. I'm going to buy a bunch of investment properties. I'm going to cash in. And this is going to be wonderful. It has to happen. It's going to fucking happen. Most people know that are far more intelligent than me that every 10 years or so, we should dip at least a little bit. So do your homework. Check out what I'm saying. Look at the crash in the 70s. Of course, I was pretty much almost non-affected by the crash of 2008. And that should be a whole podcast there. But you know what? It's because I designed my life. I worked very hard, and I've always was a go-getter, and I never backed down and just sat there belly up. I always was making something happen. It was the hustle. Was it the same after the recession? No. You know what? I had to pivot. I worked on some new ideas, and I pulled me and my family through. So before we get on with the show today, let's thank a few of our sponsors. Alcohol, the cause and cure to all life's problems. Women's products, Tampax, pads. I never realized before. They're not only used for women's moon cycles. What do you think keeps up all the tears when I'm crying in this padded, carpeted room at nighttime, wondering where the hell my life went? And then it also works as a silencer. When you start really crying, you know those real ones, like you just put it on your mouth to kind of muffle it. But when you start getting those really crazy ones where you start making animal noises, you just press it really hard against your mouth and those are our sponsors for today. Okay, so let's get into it. So surviving a recession for blue collars. The very first thing, you guys, basis number one, and I've said this before in my podcast, but it goes with everything, and it goes beyond whether these times were good or bad. All the information I'm going to share with you guys today will help you no matter what. Let's get in the sync in the mentality of a recession could come, and what do we do? How do we prepare for it? So as with everything in life, and my philosophy, if anybody who knows me, is money is everything, okay? Especially in a recession. So what do we need to do? What is it? And we're not really taught this in school, are we? Budgeting basics. I'm not going to go over 100% of all the details. I want to get you guys motivated and get you guys off like into the right track of it. So first we need to know what's coming in, what's going out. Only you can figure out a budget of what fits you. We're going to get into those details. But I recommend that you use Apple's Numbers or Microsoft Excel. And I've done a podcast on it. Go check it out for yourself. But it basically what it does is with the ease of a push of a button, it automatically adds things up for those of you who don't know. So you can put groceries, and that's all you need to do. Just put groceries. And every time you make a purchase, there's these little boxes underneath like the header which says groceries. And when you enter in $5, $100, $50, at the bottom, it'll automatically sum it all up. Now, this goes into detail. It's not that hard. Trust me, if a fucking dummy like me can learn this shit, you guys can too. But the beauty of this is that it streamlines your life, meaning The purpose of what's the ROI on this? What's your takeaway is that I know that you're busy because I'm fucking busy too. We're all busy. Nobody has time for shit. So we need to fucking figure out what it is that we can do to make things easier on us, especially in a time of recession where we're stressed out. So check it out. Apple's Numbers or Microsoft Excel. It'll automatically do all the work for you. You can make templates. I've been thinking about making a template myself of what I use because I've been using this for quite a bit of years and it's nothing fancy at all. And I'm wondering if you guys would be interested getting your hands on this template so you can just download it to your phone and just start using it yourself. Let me know in the comments below. But moving on, now we know where our money, our budget, we know how to budget, we know what's coming in, we know what's going out and roughly drafted. But now we need to figure out what a backup plan is. And only you will know this. Now that we have the idea of the flow of our money, now we need to come up with a whole nother budget of emergency funds. And the way to do this, you got to separate yourself another account. That's what I did. I put emergency funds. I personally like to give myself small goals. So at first I did like a month, or I went a month in advance, which was like around $3-4 grand for me. Then I said, let's go up to 3. Now let's go up to 6. And the quicker you do this, the better you are. The way to do that is obviously to know what's coming in and what's going out. And we're going to move in is to practice poverty. Okay, this is the tool that's going to help you save some money. And it's going to do multiple things for you. Let's just get into it. And you heard me right. You're going to practice being poor. It's weird, but follow me through. I guarantee you're going to get something out of this. So an intentionally forced experience is far more easier than a forced experience. When that economy crashes, when a recession hits or anything, there's some sicknesses, illnesses, or anything. Nobody's asking you permission. It's just slammed right on you. It just hits you in the fucking face. And if you're not expecting it or just somewhat at the least remotely prepared for it, it hurts. And I've seen it happen thousands and thousands of times. And that's one of the big reasons why I get so passionate and I'm doing this show is because I don't want you guys to go through that shit. I had a little taste of it a couple of times and I never want to fucking taste that again. It's a foul fucking smell and it's not a good place to be. So practice poverty. What do I mean by this? Is what you're going to do is you're going to intentionally start living below your means. There's Dave Ramsey says act your wage. I want you guys to act below your wage, meaning that you're going to start sacrificing on your food, not to the point where you hurt yourself. Don't be, I'm not saying being a dummy here and just start, eating rice or not even eating at all, once a day, which I don't think would kill you, but only you know what's right for your health. Don't hurt you or your family. So what you need to do is you need to practice being in poverty, and what this is going to do is it's going to help you learn your limits. It's going to help you learn your children's limits, your spouse's limits, your dog. If your dog looks at you weird like me, like, what, motherfucker? Chicken? Where's canned food? Where's my goddamn raw food, motherfucker? So everybody's affected. And this can be a dangerous thing. As I said, this is an experiment that we're kind of to bring everybody on agreement to try so that you get the experience. Because if you never had the experience and it gets forced on you, it can cause divorce, it can cause lots of pain, etc. I don't think I need to explain those in detail. So it's very powerful that you intentionally go in doing this. Here's an easy way, and this is fun. We're going to make a game out of practicing being poor. So this is going to do many, many things for you guys. We're going to do a game, and then at the end of the game, we're going to treat everybody. And this is like a survival drill, like an army drill. But unlike those at the end, there's actually going to be a prize, and that's what's going to keep everybody wanting to participate. But what this is also going to do is this is going to create community within your own family, a reconnect, a bonding, okay? And it's also going to teach maybe your spouse and your children to how to have discipline and learn to be able to fulfill their goals. And the way we're going to do this is that we're going to have all the family members and everybody together, again, in agreement. Hey guys, we're going to practice this for 1 week. We're going to be dirt fucking poor. We're going to start saving the money we don't spend on, say, whatever foods or going out or, just staying home, movies, whatever you can. We're going to take all that money and we're going to put it into the savings in a jar. And I think that would be the best, is the cash. And I get your kids, when they wash dishes or something, instead of using a paper plate or this is a quarter, here it is, go stick it in the jar and come up with a plan like Disneyland or something that your family as a group, you guys all love to do, and start adding it up. You can teach kids with math with this as they put 25 cents in, have a little calculator or a pencil and paper to add up so that they can kind of see like an account, that thing just building up and building up. This is also going to, as I said, to teach you for your comfort zone, or to give you a trial on what people can and can't do. And the thing that I want to stress here too is that this is completely reversible. You brought this on intentionally, and it can completely be undone. There is no foul, there is no hurt, other than you're gaining experience, and your children as well. So you see where I'm going with this. You turn it into a game, and what's going to happen is it's a challenge, and everybody's going to start working together, hopefully. In any matter, I think it's definitely going to give you guys a bond. But then once you're done with this, and the whole family gets to celebrate their triumph together, now you can look. Now you might have everybody's eyes open. You might have them on board. This is the way that you're going to get everybody to participate and start saving for an emergency. And it doesn't matter whether you ever use that money or not. This money is stacking functions, as I love to say on the show. Let's just say like you got like 10 grand in the bank for a budget. If that 10 grand just sits there and you never touch it, that could go to multiple things. That can go if there was a serious illness in the family, or for retirement, or for a down payment on a house if that's what you're looking for, or to pay off debt. Do I recommend that you spend it? No, not unless it's an absolute emergency, because we never know. You know, life happens. I think that you can plan. This is the difference, I think. I get a lot of people telling me that, you know, you can't predict everything. You can't just foresee everything coming in. And that's not what I'm saying. No, I know I can't. But what the thing I do know is that I can arm myself with tools and things for when stuff does hit. And when they hit, sometimes they may hit in different ways, and you have to learn to pivot, you know, shadow box here with it and stay out of the punches. But at least you have a pair of fucking gloves, you know, at least you have somewhat of a shield to kind of get yourself through it. So I think it's bullshit that people say, why even plan and do? To go by without a plan is worse than sitting there strategically coming up with ideas and giving some sort of percentage of anxiety and thought towards the future and what it could bring. Because life is you never know. The next one is you're going to have to check your ego, man. And I think this one is fucking huge. Everything that I share about my life in this show is because my ego, I think, because I search myself. I'd like to know. Let me know if I have ego in the comments below. Blow me up. But I think one of the biggest problems I see is people care too much about what other people think of them. I talk about this all the time, but I think it's like one of the craziest mindsets and things that we all need to get over. So you got to check that fucking ego at the door. And I think you have to learn the inner dialogue of yourself as well. Why are you doing this? What is your why? Okay? Do you want to see your kids get hurt? Be without food, diapers, or whatever it is, you with your spouse? Do you want to fight? Do you want to be struggling for the rest of your life over your ego and the ego of yourself? I think we can point the finger all around it at the world, the government, the police, the justice system, the monetary system, and everything else. But I think a lot of us are unwilling to look at ourselves. And one thing I would say is, I beat the shit out of myself. I fucking hate me. You know, I'm the first one willing to go, all right, IKEA boy, where are you fucking going with this? You know, I've been having some serious anxiety attacks lately, and I am definitely not easy on myself, man. It's like my alter ego, myself, is like Mike Tyson, and it's just waiting there to fucking uppercut me. Like, come on, bitch, let's start crying so I can slap you around. So I don't recommend that. There's a point where you kind of got to give yourself a break. I think all of these things, some of these may be the underlying concerns behind the brain and the subconscious mind. Though it's been suppressed down, it's still there. I did an Instagram post today on anxiety, and I think that's what happens. Society tells us that when you have a problem, just push that shit down and stay busy. I hear the same thing with children, like keep them in soccer and baseball, keep them fooled and disorientated so they don't focus on sex or drugs or things like that. Well, guess what? How many percentages of kids go play sports and things and still have sex? They're into drugs, and they hook up with the wrong people and make weird decisions. So I think maybe it might work I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do, but I just look at this whole belief system concept of distracting and pushing things down And you have to ask yourself, if you ever blew up yourself and shit came out of your fucking head where you're like, what the fuck was that? Where did that come from? Or you especially see this when you get in an argument with your spouse or seen it, like they will come up with stuff that has nothing pertaining to the immediate problem that you're talking about. It's because this shit's been bottled up for so fucking long. It's just waiting to fucking surface. And then they attach it to the immediate moment. Check your ego. Have the dialogue with yourself, communicate with yourself, know what, as I said earlier, what your limits are, and also those of your children. And you can kind of, going back what I said on this about the testing, is that this is where your chance in this moment to step back and observe everybody. I think a lot of people, if you're the one watching this show right now and you're the one thinking about doing this and you're concerned, you're the captain. You're the one that sees what the fuck's going on. You're the one who has enough smarts to go, you know what, somebody's got to do something. But this is, since you are the captain, as I am, this is your chance to observe everybody, to see what their weaknesses, what their limits are, because I think a lot of people don't know. I don't want to bag on women at all, but I think that women, when they crack, man. Like they just start crying, and I think they're a lot. I think, I'm not dogging women. I think you guys handle a lot better than men, because when men crack, it's like a redwood that falls and it just goes, there's only one noise, ah, and it's gone. Where women are like teapots, wah, wah, you know, they start crying a lot. They let the emotion out. So I think that's way better. But yeah, we definitely want to observe. And it's been a philosophy of mine for a long time that, so because people are so caught up in the human drama and the human emotions, and that's exactly what they are. If you step aside, you know, when you were in love, as Bruce Lipton said in Biology of Belief, nobody changed anything. It's you decided to be in love and your life was perfected. Your food tastes better. You had energy. You decided to be happy. The dying regrets of old people is just that. I wish that I would have known that happiness was a choice that I could have made. So a lot of people run around and they kind of don't know this. So it's your job as the captain to kind of formulate and figure out what people's limits are, what kind of their happiness, if that makes sense, kind of what will help them. And you can almost set up decoys, and not in a bad way. This is not manipulating or anything, but in a certain extent it is, where you can kind of form things. And ego, I'd like to say on this, is like you did something great and the person, you know, it's like setting up bowling pins, you know, and someone knocks them all down. You're like, good job. And they're like, did you see what I did? And they don't even give you credit that you're the one who set up all the bowling pins. But I don't think that fucking matters, because if your intention is to help your family or help others, you don't need to get recognition for these things. And that's where you're going to have to check your fucking ego at the door. And it's very difficult to watch and see sometimes, especially when something great happens. You're just working your ass off, man, and everybody else is having a good time. The old ant and the grasshopper story. And they're like, look what we did. And you're looking going, wait a minute, what? What? I was the one plowing the fucking fields, you know. I was the one chopping timber, and I actually lit the fire that you're roasting your marshmallows on. But but it's no matter. It's out of love and decency. We all get ahead, but I think as a captain, that's your job. Your job is to navigate this ship and try to keep your people, you know, your crew in check and safe, and know that you're going to get to your destination. So I want to move next to, there's just so many fucking things I can tell you guys. I'm so excited. I'm limiting these podcasts to 30 minutes because I only get so much time on the Libsyn area, the RSS feed where I publish my podcasts, and I've got a budget that I got to stick with, but it's coming in the future. This show starts growing, you guys. I need comments and stuff to keep me motivated. This is a lot of work, but I'm here to help, and I want to keep the show up for you guys. So just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a middle finger. I don't fucking care. Something. Let me know you're out there. But what I want to move on to what is highly overlooked. Many things, but the very one that comes to mind in the immediate moment is your home, and why we don't look at our homes as tools. I mean, it's sad to think that you spend most of your waking hours away from your home in some cubicle, in some office, or out in the field, you know, on your job, spending more time with people, with other people that you don't even know, more than the family, more than your children and your spouse. This is a very weird concept, but we can't control the part with our children. We have to go to work, but what we can control is how we view our home and how we can view our home as a tool. Now, there's many things out there, guys. And what I mean as a tool, only you will know what fits you. But what comes to mind right now is like food. There are such things as microgreens. And I don't give a shit where you live. Even if you're in a place that doesn't get sunlight or something, which is hard. But some people in apartments, like my sister in Maui, there's no sunlight there. But you can get grow lights and you can grow microgreens. Okay, if you don't know what microgreens are, those are like they're fucking good too, man. You just get sunflower seeds, you put them in a thin tray of about 1 inch of soil. It's about a 1.5, I think, by 2 feet long. This little tiny black tray doesn't take up much space, doesn't take up much time, and I believe could even be somewhat automated. But you'll sprinkle like sunflower seeds and there'll be shoots of sunflowers, and they taste, it's like a salad sunflower. If you ever tasted a sunflower seed, it's like it's infused in this green. They're fucking wonderful. One I've been wanting to try is cilantro. They say it's 10 times like the tang than regular cilantro. I think it would make an excellent salsa. But it's supposedly said these are very highly nutritious and they're very simple to grow and very cheap. There's sprouting, which is the exact same thing as microgreens, but different, if that makes any sense. And it's basically a jar. You can look it up on YouTube, just sprouting seeds, and you dump a bunch of seeds inside of a jar, you fill it up with water, and what happens, these seeds start to germinate and they start to pop. You can get wheat and buckwheat, all kinds of different stuff. And what happens, it swells with water and a little tiny shoot comes out, but before it starts to turn to leaves, you just take this stuff out and you eat it. These grains and all of these things are highly nutritious, it is said again, and they're very tasty. You can add them to oatmeals, and a jar is just that. It doesn't take much space. It's like the size of a quart jar. Very simple. The lid on top is a screen. You dump all the water out. You dump all your seeds, your grain, whatever you have, and then you can just eat it whole. So what I'm getting at is food production. I also do container gardening. Container gardening, I think I should explain to you guys too, is that whether times are good or bad, I don't know if you guys are aware, but our food production system is lacking. There's a lot of, I'm not the only one that thinks this, and I got some interesting things to tell you maybe on a whole nother podcast, but we have vitamin deficient food. So by growing some of your own food in your own home, again, you could do this on rooftops, you could even do it at your work. Just growing one tomato, a cucumber or something. And the easy thing about these pots is they can be automated as well. You don't have to sit there and hover over it like you think. As far as pest control, disease, all of these things can be dealt with very quickly, and you can actually have very nutritious food. And I always say this, not only is it good for the planet, and if you're not going to do it to help yourself and the planet, do it for the flavor. Rich people can't even fucking taste the food. When a tomato is picked right off of a vine, it tastes nothing like you'll ever taste in the supermarket. And it gives you a sense of empowerment and encouragement. And I think in a time of recession, you'd want to go and practice things like this. I'll tell you guys a story about us Russians. When we migrated from Russia, it was told to me, our people actually grew pigeons out of their fucking apartment window. They were raising pigeons, and they'd pull one out every once in a while, cut the head off, rip out the breast and the legs, and they'd eat it. They just made something out of nothing. And times were really bad. We are spoiled people. I'd have to say, I don't want to pick on us, but we're fucking spoiled, man. The stories I heard from my grandparents who went through the Great Depression, that was some serious shit, and they never forgot it, man. They never forgot it. They saved every fucking penny. They would put plants in little tin cans from tomato sauce. They composted everything. They got into practice, and I think that's what made them strong and who and what they are. So you guys, we need to practice, and that takes me into, in times of peace, prepare for war. And what I mean by that is not I don't want to have a shock value, but when there's peace, everything's quiet, right? This just goes in, like I said, where you want to experiment with your family, you want to practice poverty. It's in this moment that you can actually come up with a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. You can start looking for cheaper housing or ideas like me where you go live in a travel trailer. Go to an RV park is what I would recommend for the downest of the down, the lowest of the barrel. Go find out what the spaces are and get yourself an application or drive around and get to know the spot. So where I'm going with this is make sure that you're not waiting for that last minute where you just get slapped in the eye by a recession or anything else, and then you're standing there going, okay, now that I've been punched in the face and both my eyes are swelled shut and I can't see what the fuck I'm doing, let's figure out what we're gonna do. You get the drift? It's always nicer to have all of these plans, plans A, B. I mean, I've got plans like A, B, C, D, E, F, and then some. I kind of have to with my special needs kid. I'm very limited. Don't wait until those moments happen. And I've seen it happen where people freaked out. They didn't know what to do, and they had no idea of where to even start. And if this happens to you, check out my show. I'm definitely going to do more information on these things of how to get yourself prepared. And I think I should niche down on what to do when it just automatically hits you. What's the very first thing, and go into detail. Again, I'd love to hear what you guys want to hear. Comment in the post, and I'll actually make a podcast designed, or a show designed to your guys' needs. That's what I'm here for. Don't wait till the end. In peace, prepare for a time of war. When that war comes, man, it could be a whirlwind. So you guys, if you like this sort of thing, check me out on Facebook. There's a private group. Everything's up and in it. I will ask to join, and I'll approve you. There's also Instagram, where I post every day. It's a place where I can kind of show you guys my mini retirement, which I'm having right now in 2019. I try to post funny stuff, the daily, what an alternative lifestyle looks like, so that maybe you guys can get a feel, and also proof of concept. I guess there's people out there lying, like flashing $100 bills and driving a Lambo. For one, I don't drive a fucking fancy vehicle. I drive a 1996 F350 diesel 7.3 liter, loudest truck with a giant ugly camper on the back. And you know what I'm selling? Is nothing. What I'm selling is a concept of liberation and independence. So, and I'm going to show you guys that. I'm not here fucking, I'm not that jack off dude with some pyramid scheme or trying to sell you anything. I want time. I want peace of mind. I want out of this fucking system for good. And I'm not going to stop. That's my life's fucking goal, and I want to convey that message. Okay, let's stop reining it back in. Check me out on YouTube. There's the Spotify and Apple iTunes podcast. And you can all the information is that links below. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it.